Hey everybody, hello, hello. Little tech rebooting had to happen here before I'm coming on. All right, so I'm just looking at my notes, but I thank you all for things that you're sharing. Pretty awesome. Some of you, I saw your beautiful little names, maybe a video for a second or a long time on First Friday. So that was very sweet. Okay. Da, 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 da. Okay. So I loved Teresa, first of all, in Marco Polo, sharing the belief I should be doing something else. Here's what is really interesting is that is actually what came up in the First Friday this morning, or it was looking at somebody else and saying they should be doing something different. They should be doing something different. Notice the activity. So I did the work with somebody yesterday in an individual session on observing her mate, spouse, using drugs for the first time in quite a while, or heavier drugs, right? So we're looking at that person over there and really thinking they should do something different. We do the same thing. The level of upset within ourselves can be just as strong when we're looking at ourselves and determining that we should be doing something different than we're doing. So let's take this, because here we are so eager and interested in compulsion, in heavy thoughts, in negativity, whatever we're calling negativity here, brutal thinking. We should be doing it differently. And we watch our behavior and we look at our bodies and we see the way our lives have gone and there's always, it's like the mind can constantly think of what it should be doing that's different. And I look at the chaotic disruption or eating food the way I'm eating it and watching that happen. I love how Maggie was talking about Cheetos the other day. I was like, oh, I remember Cheetos. Okay, so let's just do the work today, because it's noticing, I think, and if questions come up and you feel like asking them here, and I have a few things written, but watching the depth and heaviness of that thought that I should be doing something different than I am doing. Here's what's interesting. What I wanted to share about this is it can seem like it's absolutely true. Like that thing, we can make a whole list of what human beings could do differently that would provide relief, peace, end of suffering, calming down. All the different addictions that anyone ever does. They should stop doing those things. We should stop doing those things, right? I like how Katie says, all these things are doing their job. And there they do, they exist. There they are existing. Sugar, smoking, alcohol, spending, learning. The reason I even said that is it's like that's a little place that I notice it within myself. It's like I have to consume this information. I have to get this book, all these books. There's not enough time to read all the amazing authors in this world, and I love to read so much. I can't get enough of it. It kind of feels the same way. So sad I can't read them all. Now I know that sounds really benign because it doesn't sound like something that's harmful to the addictive mind, to something that's where we're actually doing something to ourselves. It seems that's damaging, or there that person is, it's doing something damaging. But it doesn't matter, because what we do is we just watch. You see this thing that's happening, whether it's my thinking or my behavior and what I'm doing, and just watch. I should be doing something different. They should be doing something different. For the purposes of this, let's hold somebody else that should also be doing something different. Because often with our own, when we turn around and U-turn towards ourselves, it's very tricky. If you can find somebody that should be doing it differently than you, great, find it and hold that. At the same time, then there's you that should be doing something else than what you're doing. All right. Okay. So, first fabulous question. Should be doing it differently. They should be doing it differently. Just look at the full range of what's available to people for doing. And if the mind has anything to say about it, every second of every waking hour, there's an ideal version of what you should be doing in that moment. Even sleeping, you should be asleep in the right way. So, perfect way to do it, and a less than perfect, and then an actual bad way to do it. Is it true? So you might even just say, well, yes, of course, I know. But just watching, watching the manual of best way, even a whole life, referring measure against, I know, and this isn't it in this situation. So what happens when you think it? Oh my goodness, the level of trying to figure out how you're going to work with this problem and make sure you change it. I'm against it, against it, against it. I'm against it. So there's something I loved about Maggie bringing up just the other day in the live group, her situation of Cheetos and eating Cheetos, So talk to a nutritionist and most human beings and doctors and blah, 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 you'd say, look at this bag of a funny kind of thing that we're calling food, right? Factory made. Watching that. And so we're not arguing that they're wrong, but how interesting to look at that. Nobody should be eating that. And the depth of the thought, not trying to call Maggie particularly out, she's not even here live, but some of you have mentioned that too. You have that specific food or the thing that you shouldn't be eating. And you may be thinking all the multiple infinite reasons why it's a good idea not to have it. That's a great idea. I should never, ever, ever eat it. It's just bad. I have my proof. To be holding that as you begin to consume it anyway. It's just noticing I'm not dropping the thought. I'm not eating it with an open mind and eagerness and interest and like a don't know mind. I'm eating it with a I know mind. And I just find it'll never be, it won't be peaceful. And you won't be able to be in touch with whether you actually like it or not. These two biggest barrier thoughts to finding peace around food and eating are, I absolutely critically must be thin and remain thin, get thin, whatever. I have to have my body a certain way. And I can't eat whatever I want. So a little more on those two things. If you're holding this ideal version and this is not it, already there's a difference in reality and what I want with the body. And I have all these different ideas about what the body, if it were perfect, would give me. Peace, recognition, lack of rejection, nobody criticizing me, whatever. And then acceptance, love, approval, appreciation. And then there is what I want, and I'm judging what I want. Can you really find out exactly what you want if you think that what you want is wrong? I mean, are you really able to see, I am just with an open, free mind, can I find out what I really, really want? if I'm completely allowed, there are no rules whatsoever, and I get to just find out if I want it or not, and whatever I want means. I want, I like it. They can mean something a little bit different, but I want this. I want this. I mean, I just remember noticing, you know, my bit of honey story. So just in case I haven't told it enough, I picked something that I thought was abhorrent. You're not allowed to have it. Nobody would ever think you should. This thing called Bitto honey. It's got terrible ingredients. I seem to really, really, really like the taste. And even in addition to that, it's in a machine at work. That's one of the choices of what you can buy in a machine. You know, sometimes you approach that machine and there's one thing that's okay and everything else is not allowed. You know, that was definitely the not allowed thing. And in a machine means it's stale, more expensive. What's wrong with you? Why can't you go get something else? All these different things that it meant. But I would still buy this thing in the machine from time to time and feel guilty and sneaky and weird. So or else I would never buy it, but then I'd buy it at the store down the street or something. So I just meant, like, what if I just did it out in the open without shame, without guilt, noticing, so that I could actually find out if I wanted it or not. And it's not even a test. I'm just saying, yeah, right now I do want it. Sing it from the mountaintop. I want it. And this would be my medicine, is to practice that I have it every day, out in the open, in the kitchen at work, in that, with the, you know, bringing my 3/4 or whatever it was at the time, buying it, taking it to my desk and eating it. And that it's a requirement to have that. Like, that's what I need to do. That's what I want to discover, is having that, instead of constantly and incessantly for years the opposite. And it was okay with me. I decided, you know, I could feel inside, who would I be without the thought, although I didn't have inquiry at the time, with having it be illegal, wrong, horrible, guilt-inducing, evil, to have one of those. And with one of those, I still had a lot of fears about being a fat person. Having one of those every day, could I absolutely know it was true, that would mean I would blow up into the size of a house? No, I knew that wasn't true. Okay. So I started on the experiment of having one every day, guilt-free, or just watching. The guilt would come in, but this is still what I'm doing. It's like, hear the chatter of that voice. And I was doing this while I was in a group therapy or with a therapist. It was safe enough to have the support of sorting through how I was going to be in this situation. So I don't think it came to me but I loved the idea as we sort of sorted out. In a way, this was my plan. I am including this. I want peace. And I'm having one. Well, what I noticed was, when I was allowed to have one, I didn't want more. I stopped ever wanting more. It was amazing. I would feel like I get to have another one tomorrow. Like, suddenly there was plenty, and I wasn't scared of this, to eat this thing. I might still think, I don't think it's got much nutrition in it. Everybody would agree that it's made in a weird factory somewhere, and that's kind of strange. You know, I'm not denying that whatsoever. I'm not pretending that's not true. And one thing, you know, it's like, I don't have to be purist about the whole deal all the time. Always so pure. Are there impure things that happen? Do I sometimes breathe in something? Do I take in something that has something, you know, I don't know, ingest something, drink some water while camping that isn't perfect? Yeah, that's life. That is life. So without it being a mental construct to do it in a pure way, this was fine with me. And all I'm saying is, I would notice it. And then I would notice shame come up, and I would notice somebody coming to stop by my desk at work and thinking that was on there and they're looking at it. And I would just relax and rest and know I'm right out in the open having this thing. And it turned into fun. It turned into like such a light, wonderful sensation, a beautiful feeling of freedom and joy, that this thing, like a childlike sense of pleasure, getting a piece of candy, like a little kid does, and not a horror, the horrors of what that's doing to my system. I had an adult that was viewing the whole thing too within. So you know what, you really will be okay. I mean, compared to what's been happening, overeating to such a point that I'm stuffing my stomach and forcing myself to vomit and running 5 to 10 miles and all the other brutal things I was doing, this was nothing. So, and all that fear of like lack of health, it's almost crazy. All I remember now is that daily thing, it was like, I'm doing it until I don't. And one day I noticed, oh my God, I forgot to have my bit of honey yesterday. And here it is today into the afternoon, and I almost forgot to have it today. My daily medicine. How interesting. And I went and got it and enjoyed it. And then something began to happen where it just completely loosened its grip. It was gone. I don't know when that happened. I can't remember well enough, but it faded out. There wasn't from now on and this point forward, if it was the rest of my life, I was willing, this first sense of energy that we're working with, willing to have this be something important for myself for the rest of my life. I also noticed I didn't have so much attachment to eating salads or making sure that I had enough broccoli or any of that. I just naturally would notice what I wanted. And that's continued to be the case, noticing what I really want. I remember having this funny thing when, the whole kale craze came out. And I remember thinking, what is going on with kale all of a sudden being such a big deal? That's what you feed to pigs and animals. It's the scrap leaf that's grown. So something must have happened with the farmers, and they did really good marketing, or maybe somebody said, wow, kale is amazing. And I remember trying it and putting it in some things and having some kale salads, and then just realizing I don't really like it. Gasp. I don't like kale. It just makes me laugh. It was sort of like a thing happening. For this one, in this particular body, it didn't. It would grind my stomach a bit, and kind of, depending on what, and I'd have it sometimes with other people making some sort of amazing kale salad and have it, but it wasn't like my favorite thing in the world. It's okay to not like something. Amazing. So all this story is to say, watching what our beliefs are about I should do something different. Great to be just seeing, why do I think I need to do something different? Why did I always think never, ever, ever eat that bit of honey? With all the things that you should never eat it. It was always because I want to be thin. I want to be pure. I thought there was pure. I want pure health. I want to be guilt-free. And, just what was on the bit of honey was absolutely gigantic. And it was wonderful to let go of that being against it. It was wonderful to let go of it. And I'm not saying I don't notice things that I still feel that I'm against. I look over at my absolutely adorable husband. He's very adorable, and he loves to drink Coke. And I'll think, oh, I actually don't like it. I just don't like the taste. I never liked it. I don't like bubbly things in my mouth anyway. Don't even like seltzer, really can't, don't, don't get it for me. But I've noticed the thought ticking through, he shouldn't have it. It's not healthy. It's all about feeling attached to him staying alive as long as possible or whatever. It's just very interesting. Who would I be without the thought he should do anything different than he's doing? Noticing the life that's still present, his business, talking to him, being connected, being close, wondering about it, staying with it, staying with it instead of just like falling back. If the person's super defensive, great. Okay, I know what not to talk about. And just watching and noticing all the ticking of the things move in this particular way, all the ideas, the concepts. So how do you react when you believe you shouldn't be doing that, or they shouldn't be doing it? It shouldn't be like that. I didn't write it down, so I hope that's the thought. See, isn't that funny? Writing a thought down and really staying with it, planting yourself there. So powerful, very important. But who would you be without the thought? They shouldn't be doing that. I shouldn't be doing it. Who would you be without the thought? So some will say, if I don't have it, I will go insane doing it all the time. I'll never, ever stop. They won't either. There'd be nothing to ever stop any of us from doing all this crazy stuff that's very damaging, very hurtful, very death affirming rather than life affirming, very guilt inducing. We would never stop doing it if there was no reason and no belief that we shouldn't. I love wondering, is that absolutely true? Can I really know it's true? I know, I notice that I hated binge eating like a maniac. It was like, something about this is absolutely crazy. What is going on? And it was so intense. So it took some really, really strong, loud, intense feelings of craving to make me see and look and want to attend. It's the only thing that ever took me into group therapy and trying to meditate and joining the Course in Miracles class and deciding to go to church when I was only 25 and actually be a member. Nothing else ever brought me into that. This is the thing that brought me into that. I'm finding advantages for, I still find advantages for how it all happened. So just, it's like it brought me to the inner spirit. It brought me to the path that I am most interested in, the mystery of it all. So without the thought, you shouldn't do it, though. And I love the work that somebody did on the first Friday. There their son is playing video games, but there that person is, and it could be eating. There they are over there, unhealthy. Who would we be without that thought? So there they are doing what they do. And I'm really curious. I'm really wondering. So I loved the noticing that one strategy is to pretend it's not happening and ignore it. And that's actually a bit stressful, like avoiding. And maybe if I'm not forcing, there's something in between, I just don't know. And maybe maybe there's a little sadness that comes up. Who knows? There's a movement that occurs. Wow, I wonder about this. Wow, what about this now? Oh, look at this. Like the mind thinks of things as so stuck. Right here, it's always like this. This is the way it is. And it'll be like this forever. But without that thought, who would I be? I'm really watching, noticing. There might be advantages for them being as they are and for me being as I am. But I can ask, what am I afraid of underneath? Like, what's there? I had so much panic and anxiety. The panic and anxiety was there before the eating happened. It would be there present before the eating happened. It was there already. So really, it's getting to look at how I view the world, how I view life, and that I feel very small and tiny, and don't like the way it feels so random here, chaotic. I don't like it. Mine doesn't like it. So I get to then begin to look at that. Who would I be without the thought? Interested in that. Interested in fear and anxiety in a good way. Like looking, it has a message. What does it have to say? Here we are in the trauma. We're looking at trauma module. I just invite people to go look at the family of origin dinner table with a Judge Your Neighbor worksheet. And then there's another invitation, two actually. One is that you can look at where you felt betrayed ever in your life. Here's where I have been betrayed. Because it's one of the most deeply traumatic experiences. Like I thought one way and then I got tricked or fooled or stabbed in the back, that kind of thing that we say, surprised by something frightening. And we will think that about life itself. Like the virus is something terribly and frightening, and look what happens, horrible things happen. Fantastic to question. And just look that it's not all black and white. It's not all or nothing. It might not be as bad as you think. So turning the thought around, it should be the way it is in this moment, in the situation. One example is, how do I know? Because it is in that moment. And I love noticing how things change, even if we don't try. The moment ends, we go to bed. We might not even have it resolved yet, but things relax. And good to stay steady with, the turnarounds and finding our examples. It should be happening the way it is. It helps me look and see, brings my attention to it. I need to study it. Or they should be doing what they're doing. They should be doing what they're doing. It does not ever mean it's fantastic, and I hope it never changes ever, ever at all. And I have to just live with it for the rest of my life the way it is. Because we don't even know. And that might not be true. And you might request. So there's that person, and they're doing something that we all would probably agree is very painful and difficult, like shoot up heroin. They shouldn't be doing it. Turned around, they should be. Amazing. Right in that moment, in that situation, they should be. I can find it. Heroin's doing its job. Food is doing its job. I shouldn't be doing what I'm doing, like with what I'm thinking, either the actual behavior itself or how I'm thinking about this. I shouldn't be doing it because could there be another way, a more loving, open way? Could there be a different way of seeing this? Seeing that it's got its benefits, and there has to be a way that isn't violence or running or freezing. There has to be a way that's not just fear. There they are doing that. It makes me really want to see that there must be another way and understand this. There be another way. How is it okay that I've done it or they've been doing whatever it is they're doing? How is it okay? How am I safe anyway, despite this thing? Or how am I safe with it? I notice if I'm looking at the person doing something dreadful, which I think of as heroin, there they are doing that. How is that not just okay, but interesting and maybe even serving me in some way? And this might seem like a strange one, but it's showing me what not to do. I love the idea that more people might learn how not to do heroin by observing the people who do heroin than by anything else, than by somebody sharing with them or helping or whatever. It just might be showing us what not to do. So just something to notice. So finding something in there, the exploration of sinking down below, here it is the way it is. I wonder about this. I wonder if I wasn't afraid, what could I see? What could it be showing me? What's it for? What gift does it have to bring? Do I need to ask for help? Is there some kind of help that I can find? What do I think is missing that I want to give myself? Am I panicking about the anxiety, like we study in the feelings module? I'm afraid of being afraid. Just what do I notice it could be saying, this behavior, this stormy eating, or this kind of constant not being able to stop? Am I worried about stopping? I think that I won't like that feeling for a moment of actually stopping. Could be. I noticed when I told myself I am never, ever, ever allowed to have Bit O' Honey or anything like it, I wanted it a lot more. And I noticed when I could have it in a way that felt reasonable and comfortable and balanced, like really I'm just going to do this. I stopped wanting it. It was amazing. So it's really sitting with that. Those things that we think everyone would think Cheetos maybe are not really, well, like I'm not even sure what they're made out of, right? What if it was okay to have some and really let yourself be okay with having some and taste it, and see if you like it, not with the motive, I'm going to find out, I hope, that I don't like it. We don't know. So just seeing that can be amazing, and it's hard and tricky, I know, to get there, but it may be a lot of freedom in it. All right. So thanks. I think we just were sitting with the work today on that one thought, and if I'm going to check and see if there's something that I missed, and I'll share it in Slack. But thanks for being here, everybody. Lots of love. Beautiful to sit with that inquiry. Take care. See you soon.